It is an omen. It is what the fortune teller demanded. Rizbar out of the PSL at the cusp of Pakistan turning over a new leaf in T20s. A new era of Pakistan cricket emerges with the arrival of Mike Hesson and the decided failures of Rizwan and Babar as they end up on the bottom two teams of this PSL 2025. The PSL 2025 is back. Another small league next to it. The IPL is back as well. Cricket is back in general. With me, as always, my brother, co-host Bashar Sayed. We'll be talking about the 3 games that we missed out on PSL Daily. Today was a back-to-backer. One of them was a Sultan game, which unfortunately we do have to talk about. But with me, as always, my brother, my co-host, my pleasure, Bashar Sayed.
You cannot script this.
You cannot script this.
Rizbar amongst the top 6 run scorers in this PSL. However, both teams at the bottom of the table now eliminated from PSL X.
Why can't you stop smiling?
If I must say, Multan and Peshawar X'd out of PSL X.
He wrote this, by the way. It's on the notes, this joke. This is how bad his humor has become. The dad level is insane. The Chachi level is insane. What is happening?
Rizwan and Babar amongst the top 10 run scorers of the PSL. Unfortunately, both of them have the lowest strike rates amongst the top 10 run scorers. Now, the Rizwan Babar T20 placement, questionable. In an era where teams are moving on altogether from the anchor role, Rizwan and Babar and Multan and Zalmi are trying to arrange their entire batting lineups to help support their style of play. Now, I think this is a time for reflection for Multan and for Zalmi as to what kind of brand of cricket they want to play going forward, what changes they want to make. We will get into all of that. This will be a podcast where we cover 3 matches that have happened since the PSL resumed yesterday, and we're excited to bring all 3 of these games to you guys.
But Bashar, before we do that, I'm really excited to announce something today.
Go for it.
Backward Point is in collaboration again this year, with the Toronto Blue Jays. I know the Maple Leafs have sucked again. They made it to the playoffs and now they just lost. I don't know. The last time I checked, it was 3-0 against the Florida Panthers, but it's not getting any better from there. So whoever has put up their Leafs hopes can regain those hopes by watching the Jays. Not only that, last time we were part of the Cricket in the Park event. Bashar, do you remember that?
I do.
It's a fun time for us.
I gotta confess, that was my first time ever watching a baseball match. And the only reason why I went was because there was a collaboration with cricket. Carlos Brathwaite was there. They had the T20 World Cup there. The captain of the Canadian team was there. There was a lot of cricket ops to take pictures, to have net sessions. And it was the first time that we went to watch a baseball match with our entire family.
Our entire family was there. They had a fun, like my father had never seen, he's seen a lot of cricket matches in his day. He's seen the great Imran Khan live. I sound like, what's he not going now? But he's seen Imran Khan live. He had never seen a baseball game. For him, it was a brand new experience. And that whole experience comes back again this year on 31st May, 2025 at Rogers Center. You can bring your family, your friends. We will be there. Our family will be there. Your friends should be there. Our friends are going to be there. It's going to be cricket day at the park with the Toronto Blue Jays. We're going to have just the Rogers Center itself, but like you said, activities for cricket. And is this going to be like a baseball game with a cricket twist in it?
It's a Saturday, so
better be there.
I'd recommend come out. Tickets are cheap.
Tickets are relatively cheap, and the ticket links are going to be in the description below. Check that out. Click on that. See if you guys want to come. Bring a +1. This is a great time to bring a date, Bashar. Just dropping hints if you want. And
but I'm going with you.
See, this is the thing. The backward point always comes in.
You're holding me back.
Between you and finding love. But you out there, yes, you can find love at the Blue Jays game. Cricket day at the park. Details below. Check out the tickets. Have fun and come see us there because we're going to be there as well.
Tickets are in the description.
Hey, and it doesn't even matter if you're from the GTA or not. Like I remember last year, people from New York drove in for this event, met us. A lot of their Patreon members were there as well. A few of the Discord members were there as well. We're always available when we're at these events. Shoot us a message, shoot us a DM if you're coming, and we'll chill. We'll hang out.
Peshawar Zalmi vs Kings, the first game back, first ball back, Luke Wood bowls an in-swinger to Ben McDermott, who I'm sure flew a long way from Australia to get to Rawalpindi.
Golden Duck.
Golden Duck.
That's wild. I mean, it kind of reminded me. The delivery wasn't nowhere close to it, but remember the Rory Burns versus Stark thing?
Yeah.
Ash's first ball of the entire series, boom, leg stump, flown out. That was sort of the vibe that I got with this Luke Wood Ben McDermott vibe. It's just like a great way to start the PSL because honestly, the whole chaos of the past few weeks, it was nice to focus back on the cricket, enjoy what should just be a cracker of a game, and with the start like that, I was hooked, man.
There was some controversy around players choosing not to return back to, I'd say, both leagues happening in neighboring countries. What's your thought on that? Do we value player contracts here, or do we value player safety?
Honestly, I don't know. I can't answer that question, but all I know is that I don't know what Heather Azra is promising his foreign players. Because David Warner, man, he flew back. His entire foreign roster came back. And Karachi Kings, because of that, not only do they look like the strongest contender for the top 2 spot, they look like probably the best team.
You know what it is? It's the hair dryers.
The free hair dryers that they're giving
It's
out?
the free hair
Who
dryers.
can miss out on higher hair dryers? Free promotion for hire, by the way, on this podcast.
Now, Daryl Mitchell would not be able to use that.
Yeah. Why not?
And so that's why he didn't come back to the Qalandars.
Oh. You can use hair dryers in more than just your head.
Your beard.
For sure. He has a thing.
Apparently, Daryl Mitchell picked up a hand injury. Very good timing to pick up an injury at this time.
Suspicious.
Yeah. And so choosing not to come back there.
No, I think, the worst of them all was probably Sultans. And why would their foreign players come back with a dead rubber game left on the roster? But I believe Karachi Kings, they pulled through. Islamabad pulled through with some really exciting talent. Who else? Quetta probably got most of their people back as well. All of the people who were contending for that playoff spot and that lucrative top 2 spot mostly got their guys back. I think it was just the reassurance from the PSL, from the government, of that this is going to be a protective thing and we're going to make sure that you guys are okay. Because I saw whenever these guys were coming back, the protocol was insane.
I don't know, man. I feel like this PSL is going to be tainted by what happened in the past week or so because I remember we had the COVID PSL and then there was a bubble burst. There was a COVID outbreak and teams were again scrambling to get players back in their teams. And the teams who were able to get their players back were the ones that performed best.
Yeah.
And here, again, I feel like the teams who will be able to convince most of their players to come back to Pakistan and play will have a better combination. And so clearly, teams like Lahore have struggled to get some of their main players back.
Yeah.
Quetta also missing a few players. I think everyone's missing
a few players.
Tim Cypher wasn't playing this match as well.
Yep. I think it's going to be a bit tainted, like you said. It reminds me of just the earlier PSLs where like whenever the playoffs would be held in Pakistan.
The first final that happened.
Yeah.
I remember Zalmi was able to convince Dawud Milan, Darren Sammy, and another one of their, I think Chris Jordan, to come to Pakistan and play the finals. Whereas Quetta was not able to convince Kevin Peterson and a couple of other their guys. So they had to get a last minute replacement draft where I think TKC came to play for them. There was Riyad Emrit who came to play for them. But just it wasn't the same thing because
the balance is off.
You make it to the finals with a set team, and then when it comes to the finals, they have to leave.
Yeah, it sucks. It kind of taints the game as well. Taints the entire fun because you get attached to these players, these 11s, and when you suddenly start seeing newer players and just random people that you had no affiliation with prior to this, event, then it's hard for you to connect, and it sours the fan team interaction, that whole story that you tell yourself when you're supporting a team that gets blown out of the water. So it is tough. Do you want to talk about the game? Karachi Kings, Peshawar Zalmi winning the toss, electing to bowl twice in a row, losing. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but losing both their chases. It's just like, when will you learn?
It's tough to judge Bantis and Pindi, and I always say take these batting performances with a grain of salt because the Pindi wicket is probably one of the most flattest wickets in all of Pakistan.
If not the world.
Boundaries are short. There's not a lot of movement on offer, and it is definitely a batting paradise. But still, conceding 237 to me is a lot of runs, considering that Luke Wood went for 4 overs, 2 for 19.
Crazy. He was bowling on a different pitch. Insane. 4 for 19, like on a track that where your ballers got smacked for 237. Again, we're in a position where Ali Raza and Ahmed Daniel both went over 60, which over 60 in 4 overs. Let's think about that. That's like the amount, like, I don't have words to describe the face that Ahmed Daniel was making after he got smacked for like 20 in his over. Like, it's insane. Like, there was no, where is the sharpness that Pakistani bowlers had? Like, I understand the pitch is flat. I understand the outfield is lightning. I understand the boundaries are 65 meters. I get all of that. But I don't see any innovation from these Pakistani bowlers to do anything new. Yorkers, slow full toss, like slow, short pitches, like anything. Try something else except for bowling it straight 145, 135 in the slot. You're going to get hit all the time. It's just like, it's brain dead bowling to me. And like, that's what, with Ali Raza, I see a little bit more hope, even though he went for the more runs, I think. No, Ali Raza went for 60, Ahmed Daniel went for 66. Still, 60 odd is a lot. I still think he has that pace and he has that momentum still with him. Like, he's gonna learn. He's young. With the Ahmed Daniel situation, I'm just like, he looked helpless out there. Like, give him a fishing rod. He's that, pull him out of the game. He was so just like left for dead. And it kind of made me sad for Babar.
Ahmed Daniel recorded the most expensive spell in the history of Shahar Zalmi. And it's tough. I mean, you talked about the toss, right? There's enough evidence in this PSL that teams who have batted first have had the upper hand in Pindi. And for Babar to choose to bowl first in back-to-back matches and having been hit for so many runs in both matches where their batting order was just not equipped to go out there and chase it, Zalmi looked helpless. Babar looked helpless. And it's about having the talent and skill to execute plans, because I'm sure the management gave them bowling plans against each batter, what good lengths to bowl on these pitches. But the bowlers, Ali Raza, Ahmed Daniel, just not skillful enough to handle the pressure and execute their skills. Ali Raza has been impressive for the most part, but he's also been quite
wayward,
inconsistent.
Yeah.
Like, some games he's bowling really well, other games he's bowling, it's just all over the place.
Yeah.
And
but he's young though.
The one thing I don't really want to give any bowler leeway on is bowling no balls.
Yeah.
And I've seen him bowl a few in this PSL. And when you're playing this high level cricket, bowling no balls is just criminal.
Yeah.
Because it gives a free hit, and then that can just change the entire momentum of the innings in the match.
Mohammad Nabi and Khurshid Shah hit 70 of the last 4 overs just by themselves. 70 off 24 was their partnership.
124 the last 8 overs by Akash.
Khurshid Shah 42 and 14. That was baseball hitting.
I think whenever I'm making a Pakistan T2011 recently, Khurshid Shah is in there at number 5, 6 for me. I don't know about you, but I think this recent reemergence of Khurshid Shah, it's given me hope that he can probably do a good job with the Pakistan team, considering he is kind of a handy left arm spinner. And then, like, he's showing us since the Champions Trophy, he's come back there, and then a few games in New Zealand, and then this PSL, he's been quite consistent at the lower order, coming in, smashing sixes, and he has that power to clear the fence.
A successful Khurshid Shah closes the door on your guy, Mohammad Nawaz.
I don't know, it's different. I feel like Mohammad Nawaz is a bowling all-rounder, whereas Khurshid Shah is a batting all-rounder.
Okay.
I still feel like if you play Mohammad Nawaz at number 7, 8, he could still add value. And with Mike Essen coming in, I can guarantee you Pakistan will have a playing 11 where guys can bat up until 9 or even 10.
We need that. We need a deep batting order for sure. Once you put 237 on the board, Vishal, is there any chance to chase that?
The only chance is when Saim Ayub and Mohammad Haris are opening.
And they did.
And watching them open, it gives me an extra lifeline.
Back-to-back opening stints for Saim and Haris, except they did not live up to the hype that you had created.
Just the fact that they were opening shows that Babar Azam is finally showing flexibility, because I felt like in the past few seasons, and even for the Pakistan team, Babar clinged on to the opening slot quite closely.
Can I push back on that?
How?
Babar is the guy, according to him in his own words, and then the podcast that we listened to, which I think you want to talk about a little bit as well.
Sure, we will.
Zalmi
Yeah.
podcast. He made a good point in saying that when the team asked me to open an ODIs, I opened an ODIs. There was no opener in the Champions Trophy. There should have been one. He said that point blank. He said that, when Saim, you had to facilitate Saim, I went down on number 3. When you had to facilitate, who was it? When he had to open and test, he opened and test. Like, He's the guy who's been shuffling his order from 1 to 3 to 4, whatever, wherever the team requires, he's been there. He went number 3 in tests when KG was coming in. He's been the guy who's been moved around the most. Why is it still the narrative that Babar is selfish and won't give up his spot? And I tend to agree with it.
Let me push back on that.
You're going to push back? I'm not pushing back?
I'm going to push back on you pushing back.
You are pushing back.
A lot of pushing and shoving happening here.
Let's go.
I think when Babar was not captain, that's when he showed the most flexibility, because then he was told, hey, Babar, you're going 1 down. And I'm going to take you back to when Shaheen first became captain of Pakistan's T20 side. That's when we saw Saim Ayub score like 27 off 7 balls. That was the first game where the Rizwan-Babar opening pair was broken and Babar went 1 down. Do you think Babar at the time had the choice to be like, okay, no, I want to open?
You don't think like
when the management and captain tell him that he's playing 1 down, they're actually informing him of the decision. When Saim made his debut for Pakistan, I think under Babar's captaincy, Saim used to play 1 down. It's only when Shaheen became captain where the Rizbar opening duo was broken. I mean, a guy like Mohammad Haris, who is known for making use of the power play, in the T20 World Cup where he came onto the scene, he was going 1 down. The Rizbar opening pair was consistent even back then.
The T20 World Cup that you talk about in 2022 was the pinnacle of the Rizbar partnership because of the 2021 World Cup that had just gone by. That was the 151 for 0. 152 for 0 was like literally 10 months before that. So to firstly put yourself against that is tough. All the Rizbar partnership, we keep forgetting. You and I, people listening to this podcast, and the world at large keep forgetting that the Rizbar partnership was a solution to a problem that was Fakhar Zaman not performing, Safi going out from captaincy, trying to fit Rizwan in somewhere, and it worked. It worked for 2.5 years. People forget that it worked. We have series wins in South Africa. We chased 200 against England, against South Africa. We 152 for 0.
The Rizbar
unbeaten in Dubai until the semi-final, making it to the finals of the World Cup. Like, I get that. Like, there's always a push and pull with the Rizbar situation. Take it. I just spoke Urdu.
Rizbar.
Let me finish my point. There's always a push and pull with Rizbar. There's always a push and pull with Rizbar. I understand that. My only point is that it outstayed its welcome and it had to be pushed away as opposed to slightly retired. Like, none of those players, Rizwan and Babar, improved their game. None of them molded into modern day cricket, quote unquote, whatever that looks like for Pakistan. None of them just changed their style of play. They remained stagnant. We've mentioned this before. Stagnation equals to regression, and Pakistan regressed. Now, in a situation like this, the only one to budge mostly was Babar Azam. And even in Peshawar Zalmi, which is technically his team, his home team, he makes the shots, he makes the calls. There is no management situation. He wants this person to play, that person plays. He moved down to 3. And it was lucrative for him, especially in this game.
I'm just going to say one thing on the Rizbar thing, and we can move on from that.
Let's go.
You said Rizbar was a solution to a problem.
That was created, yes.
In my opinion, Rizbar was a Band-Aid on a wound that needed stitches.
Okay, fair enough. I can agree with that. Like I said before, like, Rizbar overstayed its welcome. Maybe 2022 World Cup. And after that defeat in the final, they should have moved on, had somebody else replaced. Whatever that looked like, they waited 2 years too late in 2024. So we can.
So I'd rather take Saim and Haris open and fail than Saim and Babar to open and not utilize the power play. Haris, unfortunately, not able to capitalize on the start he had in the PSL. 9 off 6 for him wasn't good enough. Babar comes in, and this is a very turning point of the match where Babar gets dropped at 3 on 3rd man by Abbas Afridi. Sitter. I mean, at this level, you're supposed to judge the ball properly and take that catch. Most of the times, Abbas Afridi, being a Pakistan international player, should have gone out there and snatched that.
And we've seen like the decline of Pakistan, the decline of PSL fielding, be it a local or foreign player, is horrendous.
If you were to make a reel of all the fielding mishaps in this PSL, it would be a long one.
You know what I was thinking? You know how they gave away like 100 kits when somebody makes like the team makes 100. If they just start giving away thousands of rupees or whatever, hundreds of dollars whenever there's a catch drop, we might just change the economy of Pakistan. It's that bad.
There should also be an award for the most drops, and that should be called the Kamar Akmal Trophy.
Below the belt. I think that's uncalled.
Back me up on this, guys.
Okay. Babar had a good partnership with Saim there. 77 off 47. Babar
I mean, at one point,
of the runs.
Wait, Babar at one point was 6 runs off 8 balls, towards the end of the power play. When
I
you're
mean,
chasing 237.
The power play jitters, bro. They're still there for Babar. Regardless.
I'm not going to blame Babar for this loss, by the way. I mean, typically,
he did the best.
Typically, I would be like, okay, Babar played slow. Look at his strike rate. Look at what they were chasing. But I think if you compare his knock to the Karachi Kings, Babar actually played the role that David Warner did. And this feels very weird saying this. But Babar outscored David Warner at a higher strike rate. The difference between both teams is how they finished off. Karachi had guys like Mohammad Nabi and Hujdul Chao came in down the order and just went ballistic. Peshawar Zalmi wasn't able to find that same form with TKC, Max Bryant, Ma Sadakat, or Hussain Talat.
Is TKC the most overpaid and downright bad player that has ever been given that status in the PSL?
Well, look.
Hasn't showed up once.
It's because he hasn't showed up. That's why it looks like it's a bad investment. But I looked into TKC stats and he actually strikes quite well against spin. And that's why they have him batting at number 4 to make use of that. But again, we're living in the era of data. And whenever we're seeing TKC come into bat, teams are not exposing him to fast bowling. Similarly to how Azam Khan performs great against spin, teams are putting in pace against them. So TKC, I'm going to say this, he's been found out in this PSL. And I don't see him being retained by Zalmi, especially considering he was in the platinum category of the PSL this year.
That's what's insane to me. I mean, we'll talk about Daisy, Mohamed Ali Daisy as well, in the diamond category there. Some of these players are overinflated, in my opinion. And it doesn't take a lot to show this off. And yeah, I mean, TKC, this was the best opportunity for him to come out and support Babar Azam, play the James Vince knock that Vince played basically in the first innings and give that support to Babar. Nobody actually held that up until Siam was there for a bit, not really. TKC 15 ball 20, insane for me. And then nobody stuck around. And Babar, it would have been nice to see Babar score a century. I think it's been a while since we've seen that. Even if it's in the PSL circuit, I think it would have been nice for the fans. I think nice for Babar Azam also to get those shackles loose. Remember how it feels to score 3 digits in cricket, and whatever that translates into international cricket, let that be the case. But wasn't to be.
Regardless. What did you make of the Babar Azam podcast? Because I heard the Babar Azam podcast and the Zalmi podcast back to back, and if I'm being completely honest, I learned a lot more about life and cricket through the Zalmi podcast.
I think I told you about this when I heard the Zalmi podcast. I talked about it on Backward Point here, and I thought that was the first half was really good.
I felt like I was hearing like some stoic philosopher when I was hearing.
I told you this. It's the very, very Atomic Habits. It's very daily stoic. It's very Ryan Holiday vibes going on with the Siam there, which I think it's a good thing. Very rarely do we get players who are thinking outside of just cricket. They're thinking about life, and that when you're thinking big picture, macro, your micro little whatever things you do in life, they work towards the bigger goal, and you see those developments in your game as well. So I'm happy with what I heard with Siam. I just think the Peshawar Zalmi podcast itself, the nature of it, the format of it is not my taste. So I'm not a search Mitch cheesiest pizza guy. I'm not a very this, that, or the other kind of guy. So I don't like the latter part of the podcast. It just seems very clickbait. We do a podcast, so I understand what he's trying to do, but it's very clickbaity, very let me grab a bite.
A lot
here,
of cuts in those podcasts I noticed because we do a podcast. None of our podcasts last year in Islamabad had any, maybe like one podcast had one cut.
Yeah.
But every other podcast was just straight raw.
Yeah.
No filters.
And
that I think it makes it more free flowing in that sense, where you can just go about what's happening rather than just trying to get through topics so you can get to the actual segment.
The Babar
and the segments break the flow of the conversation.
Exactly, because there is no flow of the conversation. The Babar podcast, again, the first half was good. I was just hoping, I would have gone deeper into the questions. Like there were so many other questions I would have asked. I would have maybe framed it a little bit more open-ended just to see the thought process of what Babar is thinking, especially right now he's going through a down period. How does he get off of this? What coaches he's using? I would love to hear some names. I would have presented him the scenario of like the management changing so much. Who does Babar Azam trust when he comes to batting and fixing mistakes and all that?
I think to be a better podcaster, and this is with all due respect, you can't be fangirling over a guest.
Yeah.
You have to be objective and you have to ask the right questions rather than phrasing a question with giving option A, option B, or just being in all praise of your guest. That just, I felt secondhand awkwardness was listening to it. I'm sure Babar felt the same way when he was in the hot seat.
That being said, if Shahid Afridi ever came on this podcast, I'm glazing, bro. I'm glazing so hard.
Well, Shahid Afridi.
There's no other way.
Shahid Afridi is in Pakistan, and the best way to send money to Pakistan is Sendwave. Sendwave has no transfer fee. It is extremely fast, it's secure, and you guys can use the code SCOREPK for $10 towards your first transfer. And if you also send an amount that's $100 or over, you get an extremely competitive rate to Pakistan.
Yep, and they just changed their promo code. So with ScorePK, you can still get that $10 off. But not only that, if you just send less than $100, you still get that high flexible rate that you would have gotten if you send over $100. So they just informed us very recently of that. Use Sendwave, use the code ScorePK. Let Sendwave know that Backward Point sent you. Bashar, just FYI, I know you're kind of still interested about the Leafs game. Florida Panthers 6, Leafs 1. 2 minutes left.
We cannot find solace anywhere.
All right, so the second game, Bashar, was a dead rubber game. Do we have to talk about this? I guess we do.
I have a question for you.
Let's go.
You're a thinker. You're a philosopher.
I'm a what?
There's a lot of books here that you read.
Yes, it is.
If you were Mohammad Rizwan, what would you be saying to the players, requesting them to come back for the last game? You've lost 8 matches out of 9. You're at the bottom of the table. There's no chance of finishing second last. It's one of the worst PSL seasons for any team. What would you say to your local players and your foreign players to come back to Pindi amongst this whole chaotic situation?
Rizwan is a man of God. If I was Muhammad Rizwan, I would say to my local players, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un.
So you would call them for the sake of God.
For the sake of God. First, I would be like, all praises to Allah, which regardless should be the case. I would say Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. I would let everybody know that who our creator is and we shall return to them. And then I would try to, I don't know. I honestly, I would skip the whole Rizwan situation. I would go straight to Mr. Ali Tareen and be like, Ali Tareen is trolling himself currently on Twitter. Somebody said that, was making a meme about how Ali Tareen said David Warner is not a team person, not a team guy. Warner shows up after war or after conflict, as the PC term, comes back, leads Karachi Kings into a playoff, high scorer. Ali Tareen is having a lot of questions right now.
So Ali Tareen
with himself and his management.
He said that he did not pick David Warner because he didn't feel Warner would be invested into the whole South Punjab mentality. Like
his captain is
maybe he would not have eaten the Sohan Halwas. And instead he picked Michael Bracewell, who we all know bleeds South Punjab.
Michael Bracewell and TKC in competition for being the worst foreign pick. Maybe after the PSL is done, maybe we can give away these awards. PSL Daily Awards by Backward Point. That's a good idea, by the way.
I was thinking of doing like emerging picks that we found interesting and promising. We can do a category of the worst foreign picks.
Did you see the tweet that I'm talking about, by the way, earlier?
I did see that tweet, yes.
So I just wanted to, for everybody who's not on X and on Twitter, somebody tweeted, believe me, sir, David Warner is not a team man, and tagged Ali Tareen with a sad Ali Tareen face. And Ali Tareen responded to that by saying, it wasn't my option, bas suni sunai baat kar raha tha, which means I would just, reiterating what I had heard. I would have jumped on a call, Ali Tareen, if I were you. And if I wanted to redo my whole team, I would have jumped on a call. I would have talked to David Warner and I would have explained my position. I would have been like, hey, are you the person who wants to be in my team and basically subscribe to my ethos of how I think Sultans should run and what my team stands for? If you get the answer no, then you can make claims like that. Before that, I wouldn't say that, because I would say David Warner, who is probably the highest profile player right now to play in this PSL, foreigner, came back to Karachi, man. We haven't gone back to Karachi, but David Warner comes back to Karachi, which is a big thing. And Ali Tareen has a lot of tough decisions to make, because he, like the CEO of Hire, who owns Zalmi, have to have these tough conversations with themselves and their management on what style of cricket they want to play in the coming PSLs. Do they still want to play an anchor heavy or anchor leading cricket? Well, then, what anchor will that be? Or if they want to rejuvenate the whole thing and they want to go modern cricket, they want to attack the competition like Islamabad did early on this season, like Quetta did later on this season, that's a conversation to have. But I don't think things can stay the same like this.
Towards the end of this match, I'm sure Multan and Rizwan were quite happy that Quetta have put an end to their misery. A season to forget for them. In a match where they were actually in a position where they could have won. The one thing I liked about Multan in this match was that they essentially benched everybody and anybody they could to give an opportunity to their local players, to the extent where they didn't even call back their main foreign guys that had left the PSL. They didn't call back Michael Bracewell, any of their other major guys. And instead, they had to pick some 3 random guys to fit into the squad because it is a PSL ruling to have at least 3 foreign players in your squad. And so they played 2 of them in this playing 11. Peter H, I don't know how to say his last name, and Dilshan Madhushanka were playing for Multan. But a lot of new faces we've seen from Multan playing, being Jahandev Sultan, Mayo Altaf, Amir Barki, and there was somebody named Amir Azmat. Is that okay? Amir Azmat might be Amir Barki. Okay, cool. But I think Yasir
I love
Khan.
how you figured that out live.
I think Yasir Khan has been quite impressive this season. He's improved quite a bit since last season, and I've seen him in the Champions Cup as well. So he looks to be one of the promising talents for this PSL.
What about his partner in crime in opening spot? You haven't said much about him. You're trying to deflect everything onto me.
Fahim Ashraf bowled
Fahim,
Rizwan.
I was talking
What do you want me to say?
Talk about Mohammad Rizwan. Let's talk about it. Talk about Fahim Ashraf bowling him out. Talk about Mohammad Rizwan. 2 ball 4 runs, 200 strike rate.
I don't want to step the gun here, but the
Jump in.
delivery from Fahim Ashraf to Rizwan reminded me of the delivery from Jasprit Bumrah to Rizwan in the ODI World Cup last year and the T20 World Cup last year. No, I know both of those balls from Bumrah were slower deliveries, and this one was a pace-on delivery, but just the length and where the area where the ball finished on the stumps were quite identical. If you have a 3-screen view, you play all these dismissals together, and you can find some commonality that Fahim Ashraf resembles Jasprit Bumrah.
You heard it here first, guys. Backward point, the hottest of all takes. Mohammad Rizwan, 10 innings, 3 not outs, 367 runs, 105 high score, 52 average, 139 strike rate. Number 2 on the highest run scored in this PSL. And then your boy, number 6 or 7, Babar Azam, scored 288 runs in 10 innings, 2 not outs, 36 average, 128 strike rate, 350s, 0 hundreds.
Can you confirm that Rizwan and Babar have the lowest strike rates amongst the top 10 run scorers?
I can confirm that. And by a mile, the Babar Azam strike rate is just insane because right above him is Hassan Nawaz with 159 strike rate, scoring 317 runs, 100 not out. And right below him is Babar Azam with 128.5.
Babar's strike rate this PSL is shameful, to say the least.
He's been exposed. I mean, he's been exposed.
You know what's funny,
this
actually?
one is just like crazy.
We talked about how Babar struggled against left arm pace this entire PSL, and how I think he was dismissed by David Willey, Ben Dorshus, Mohammad Amir twice, Mir Hamza almost got him out. And then at the last game against Karachi Kings, Mir Hamza almost got him out again because he was dropped by Abbas Afridi. If that had happened, this would have been Babar's 5th dismissal against left arm pace, and the 6th one being Khuzdul Shah, who is again a left armor.
Insane. It's just like, how will Babar Azam get out of this rut? We don't know. I think the inclusion of Mike Hesson and maybe a brand new coaching staff should help. I do know that this is the last time we're seeing Babar Azam play for months. I don't think we've had a gap like this since maybe he was injured or something like that. It's going to be a while because there's a lot of T20 games. He's not in the squad, as the squad hasn't been announced yet for Bangladesh. But as I understand it, I don't think he's part of the squad.
I've hearing rumors that Rizwan and Babar might come back, but
When?
knowing Mike Hesson, probably not. These just sound like rumors. They're not authentic reports.
Where would they fit?
I'm not sure. Unless you drop Haris and then you bring in Rizwan, which would mean that Rizwan has to open, which would mean that
Which would not fix
Fakhar
any
Zaman
problems.
can open, and Saim Ayub might have to like open with Rizwan, and Fakhar goes in the middle order, which just ruins the entire setup. I think right now Pakistan's top 4 is looking like Fakhar, Saim opening, Haris or Salman Agha going at number 3 or 4.
And then Fakhar. So yeah, you're right.
And then you have Khuzdul Shah, you have Irfan
Yes.
Niazi,
Yeah,
Shadab Khan.
I'm trying to rationalize as a Babar stan, right? As a Babar son, quote unquote. How would I even justify Babar Azam being in a top 15 for Pakistan T20s when he scored at 128.5 strike rate this PSL, no match winning innings? Right above him is Hassan Nawaz, who scored at 160 with 3 match winning innings. He just basically took the game away from the opposition.
But it's also different batting positions. Hassan Nawaz played at the lower
Hassan Nawaz
order.
opens for Pakistan.
Yeah, but he was playing in the lower middle order for Quetta.
Fair enough.
They have different roles.
Yeah, even Mohammad Rizwan finished a game, man. Like, what? I don't know what to tell you guys.
Did he?
He carried his bat, no? In one of those games, he carried his bat. So, like, I just, it's hard for me to justify Babar Azam there. I would rather see Saeed Farhan or a Hassan Nawaz in that top slot. If push comes to shove, if you don't want Simon Hardis in there. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. I don't have anything else to say except that I think this is the right time to maybe reach out to an Ali Tareen podcast. Bishar, are you still interested? What is the toughest question you would ask? Get that on board. Let's make this impossible to happen.
I cannot expose my questions here.
Why not?
When the time comes, I will ask them.
The first question he's going to ask Ali Tareen is why. Just that. Start with that.
At one point, Quetta needed 9 off 3 balls, and that's
Wild
when
finish.
Hassan Nawaz hits a 6. And last ball, I believe there was 2 runs needed. He hits a 6 again.
Yeah.
So he's been given a different role than what he typically does in Pakistan's domestic circuit and for the Pakistan national team. And it took him a while to get used to it, but now I feel like Hassan Nawaz is playing quite well in the lower middle order.
That's what I was just going to add. I was going to add to that Hassan Nawaz, that's not opening or playing in the early to middle order and scoring these bulk of the runs at a strike rate that's 160.
Finishing matches.
I was just going to come to that. That's where I think the gem lies, where we've been talking about how we don't have a middle order to actually somebody to come in and not just smash a few like Asif Ali, but actually finish up some of these games. And with Haider Ali in contention, with Hassan Nawaz now proving his mettle, it's going to be interesting.
I'm just glad we're increasing the pool of players that we have. And we used to have a shortage of middle order players. And that's why we kept seeing guys like Iftikhar Ahmed and Khuzul Shah come back into the team again and again. But I feel like now, if that happens again, we can bank on other guys and sort of reassign roles to different players.
I'm so glad you mentioned Iftikhar Ahmed because the Zalmi podcast has this segment that's really weird where they have like these 5 players where they're like, oh, play this one, bench this one, and then they have an option to force retire this one person. Both Saim and Babar said, I'll retire Iftikhar Ahmed, which is giving me, I know it's all fun in games, but is it really? And also this is giving me a vibe that I don't think we're going to see Iftikhar Ahmed in the Pakistan team in a very, very long time. Also, a friend of ours gave us an Iftikhar Ahmed used playing shirt. We have it. We haven't hung it up. But, it's all that whole thing that comes full circle for me.
We might hang it somewhere in the basement, far away from the eyesights of people.
It's an officially worn, like it's a game shirt. So I'm tempted to put it up somewhere, but maybe the front section or the back section. No offense, Iftikhar, I love you, but come on. Moving forward, before we move forward to the third game, Bashar, I just want to talk quickly about Captain Saud Shakil's 24 ball 18. Thoughts, feelings? Got the agenda dying here, clearly.
Well, Pakistan is only playing 5 tests this entire year. And so where else will Saud Shakil get an opportunity to get his eye in?
Zimbabwe playing 11, by the way. Just
insane. More than twice.
I don't know how, I was listening to the Sky Sports podcast, Create podcast, and they were like, I don't know how they managed to do this. And it seems like very, very, it doesn't seem lucrative for me at all for Zimbabwe, but here, they're trying to make it to the WTC final. So kudos to them. Well,
they're playing their first test match in England in years.
What is a 4-day test? And how is that an international game?
It's a 4-day test.
It's a official 4-day test.
This is a real thing.
This is a real thing. 4 days.
Okay, first class cricket is typically 4 days.
Yeah, but can you have an international match be 4 days? Officially?
Well, international matches used to be 6 days, where I think day 5 used to be there used to be a rest day in between. Now they're doing it 4 days.
It was a 4-day official test that they kept mentioning that on the podcast.
I have to confirm that.
Confirm that for me. I can pull it up if you want as well.
But Sikandar Raza is leaving the PSL to go and play this match. I believe it's happening in the next few days.
I mean,
it's going to be historic.
You tell me, PSL's qualifier or a game at Lords against England?
Is it at Lords?
Is it Lords?
I doubt it. Is
Lords.
it? Lords.
Yeah.
Wow.
I will double. Yo,
Yeah, bro, I would leave the PSL in a heartbeat.
You will leave this podcast right now.
I would leave the podcast right now to go play at Lords.
England versus Zimbabwe.
If I have an opportunity
Okay, my
to
bad.
play for any county.
Nottingham. It said Nottingham.
Okay, this is why I double check.
But it is a 4-day test. 23, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah.
If I have an opportunity to play for any county team, it would be Middlesex, because Middlesex's home ground is Lords.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Glad to know that. Ben Stokes is coming back as well. Yeah, sorry, we moved over to the England versus Zimbabwe game for some reason, but I'm interested in that. I'm going to be following that for sure, just to see what the vibe is there. Sikandar is going to be there, so that's definitely a. What is the home game? What is the home ground in Nottingham? Is it just Nottingham Cricket Ground?
Trent Bridge.
Is that the one?
I believe so.
Okay.
That's the one that has like a really small boundary
on square, right?
On the sides, yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything else to add before we move to the third game, which is the most important one?
I want to give you a live fist bump because you took 3 wickets in our opening game on Saturday.
Took you 37 minutes to talk about this, but okay.
3 overs, 3 for 14. I bring this up because this Qalandars and Zalmi game was rain affected.
Mm-hmm.
And so was our first game. It was supposed to be a 20-over match, but it was reduced to 16 overs. And that's where you got to use your brand new Yashi Sports sponsored A6 gel peak shoes. How was the grip?
Yo, so good. It's very, very well done. I totally forgot where this was going to be. Yashi ad read. The shoes were great. It was rainy, so the grass was very wet. And the grip was insane. Actually, the grip was so good that when I came to bat, I usually shuffle. And my old shoes were, I guess the grip was less. So the shuffle was easier. This time I had to actually make an effort to move my feet and shuffle across when I was batting. And felt weird in the beginning, but managed to hit a 6 down the ground, which was great as well. And bowled well. Everything felt good as the season opener came.
All thanks to the shoes by Yashi Sports.
All thanks to the shoes by Yashi Sports. And I also got inners from Yashi Sports as well. Also, a box for my private parts were also sponsored by Yashi Sports. So
thank you, Yashi Sports, for the expert advice for his box, for his inners, and his shoes. I also use my Yashi Sports thigh pads. Phenomenal. And I feel like the more that I use it, the more it's going to get used to my body and fit well.
I had some feedback from people who I posted the scorecard in my Instagram story, and I had some feedback for you.
What?
Some people called you a little bit of a quote unquote Khalifa.
Wow.
Chai Nafidi vibes, bowling first, also batting as well.
But I went to bat at number 6.
I'm just saying.
6 down, number 8.
That's where Shaheen goes as well, allegedly. Premier, all-rounder. Not only that, people were upset that you got hit for more runs than I did, less wickets, 4 overs, 28. People were asking why you bowled 4 and I didn't get bowled out. I was like, hey, I'm deflecting this to you.
The good thing is, in the level of cricket that we play, there is no post-match press conference. So I do not need to go out there and justify my decisions.
But if you were to justify, please look at this camera and please tell the people why I did not bowl the 4th over.
As captain?
As somebody, as the team in 16 overs got hit for 137. I gave 14 runs in 3 overs with 3 wickets. Why did you not bowl me out?
At the time, the batsman that was playing was hitting good against spin. And I thought, towards the death overs, I wanted to bring myself on as a pacer and bowl some Yorkers, some slower balls, and use the fact that the outfield was quite damp and heavy. And I tried to bowl myself.
Shame on you, sir.
I wanted to shield you and put myself out there.
Right. PZ versus LQ is the last game that happened today. Today was a doubleheader, which felt like a single header because nobody really cared about the first game until the end. PZ versus LQ, rain affected, 13 over game. Bashar again reminded us of our season opener. Babar wins the toss and bowls again.
I don't know what's going on.
As a captain yourself, why would you bowl first? Is that an indictment on your bowling attack that you don't trust your bowlers to defend whatever target, or is that are you backing your batters to chase whatever is on the board? What is that thought process there?
I think he's backing his batters. I think what's happened in the past few games for Zalmi, they've conceded so many runs that have been above par in the ground that they've played in, that perhaps Robert thinks that even if they score like 220 here batting first, that the bowlers are bowling so bad that they'll just concede that many runs. However, if somebody tells me that, hey, Bashar, in the Pindi Stadium this season, it's more favorable to bat first, put runs on the board, and then defend it. I would like to have tried that because, I mean, data matters, stats matter. And when you're chasing like 220 even on this page, if you lose a couple of wickets back to back, that puts pressure on the teams that is chasing. So I was genuinely shocked that given the numbers, Babar chose to field in Pindi in back-to-back games.
Man, I just think like once you have like over 10, 10 and a half, 11 and over is your asking rate from the get-go, couple quick wickets, you're out of the game already. And so why would Babar be in a position like that when he knows that if he gets out, there's some data on this as well that the collapse is really imminent right after Babar Azam gets out. So why would he put himself in a position where, if there's 237 on the board at the first game or 100 and whatever 30 or 150 today, in the second game in 13, why would you put yourself in a position where you have to chase 11 and a half and over, and then if you get 2 quick wickets, you're done? Like, that's such a weird position to place yourself. Why not be the aggressor, go out there and maybe not score 150, maybe you score 135, 140 in 13, but you give yourself a bit bigger chance because if they take back-to-back wickets of Lahore's while they're chasing, they put pressure on LQ. Scoreboard pressure is a real thing. It diminishes confidence. It's a whole psyche of cricket. I just don't understand, if you're already so lean on your bowling and your batting is your weapon, why don't you use that as the aggressor? But then this comes back to the greater problem that is Babar Azam and his captaincy, which has always been reactive. It has always been secondary, passive, and he's translated that into the PZ culture as well, which is why I guess he's 2 down, back to back.
Aside from Babar's captaincy, Zalmi's fielding was absolutely horrible. Like, I cannot put into words how bad it was. They dropped at least 4 catches. Mohammad Haris dropped the first one. Muhammad Ali dropped a sitter on the boundary. And so when you're giving guys like Fakhar Zaman 2 chances while he's batting, he's going to smash you for 60 off 36.
Yeah, of course.
Even guys like Mohammad Naeem went out there and became the aggressor, and they utilized the 4-over batting power play to the best. So I think when at this level, in a crunch match where you absolutely have to win this to go forward, and you drop sitters in the field, you don't deserve to go towards the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree. We've mentioned before earlier on this podcast just how bad and abysmal the fielding has been. I just don't understand what it is, because it's just not the local players. Luke Wood not able to stop a simple delivery at mid-on or mid-off. Was it dropping a catch, going for 4? Like, it's just everything's happening for them. And then how is that supposed to help Ed Ahmed Daniel, who's already going for runs, or Mohammad Ali Daisy, who's also only going for runs? Mohammad Ali bowled that 1 over for 21, man. For 21. This guy was picked for Diamond. It's about $150,000 a year.
No, it's less than 100.
Okay, whatever that is. It's a
Like,
lot of money.
there's a range. I think it's between like 65 or 70K to 100K. And it depends on what you agree upon with the franchise. So they could pay you on the higher end of the diamond category, or they could pay you on the lower end. So, I mean, considering Muhammad Ali isn't that a high profile player, I think they paid him on the lower end of the diamond category.
Which has a lot of money. He was the highest wicket taker of the PSL last year. This stuff matters.
This is the issue with the PSL, and this is why I think it's incredibly difficult to win a PSL back-to-back. And this is also why I think what Lahore Qalandars achieved in 2022 and 2023, winning back-to-back, is an anomaly. Because what happens is that once a team has a good PSL, their players perform, and next season, their categories go higher. Osama Amir was, I think, diamond, went to platinum. Mohammad Ali Daisy went from like silver to diamond. And so when those player promotions happen in categories, teams then now have a harder time to retain them when it comes to retentions.
Mohammad Ali Daisy played 4 games this PSL. First game, no wickets, 57. Second game, no wickets, 51. Third game, 3 for 26 against United. Fourth game today, 1 over, 21 runs. Thoughts?
His economy this season is just under 12. 3 wickets in 4 matches, 51.6 average. It's just, I don't see him being retained by Zalmi. He's going to go back in the draft.
And if you just go back into just a little bit into what he's been doing in Wellington, Dunedin, in Christchurch when he was playing there, nothing stands out to me that is like wow in the international circuit either. Is he overhyped?
Maybe his stats are inflated. I just think last season was so good, and perhaps he was a new bowler back then. There wasn't a lot of video footage or stats available on him. But since he's played in the past 12 months for Pakistan and for Multan and now for Zalmi, teams know that he comes in, he bangs on a length, and a length ball at 135, 130 clicks in Bindi is bound to get smashed.
Against Sui Southern versus Ishal, he took 7 wickets.
He's a good test bowler. He bowls that
Yeah.
shoebox length, and I think he has a pretty decent outswinger that swings late.
Very Muhammad Abbas-esque, if you ask me.
Not really.
I'm trying in terms of just shoebox length, low pace, uses the nip in and out.
Okay.
But you cannot ask much more from him. Muhammad Abbas didn't really succeed in any other format except for the test matches. That's basically the obituary written for Zalmi. They're out number 5. There's I think one more game left, Bashar. Tomorrow, I believe, it's United versus Quetta, or is it?
I saw a tweet from Javed Afridi, which I think is quite alarming if you're a Peshawar Zalmi fan.
The next game is tomorrow, IU versus KK.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to say, I saw a tweet from Javed Afridi, which was about what happened for Zalmi this year. And
Javed Afridi completely MIA, by the way. Like, all the other owners are at the owner's box. They show their face. They're animated. They're excited, sad, whatever it is. Just Javed Afridi completely out of the blue.
He says, this season's outcome hurts, but this platform remains a launch pad for national careers. Major changes are coming. We'll rebuild with grit and purpose, inshallah.
Power back in the draft?
No, not back in the draft. I think they're going to retain Babar. I think Babar is more of a commercial pick for them than there is a performance pick. They might change captains. I think it might go to Mohammad Haris.
What about Saim?
Not sure. I just haven't seen any evidence of Saim being captain. Mohammad Haris does have an inkling of being a good captain. He's captained Pakistan Shaheen. He's captained the Stallions to a cup. And I think he is quite a smart cricketer.
That'd be interesting. I don't even know if Mohammad Haris gets retained.
Why?
I think he's going back in the draft.
I think he wants to go back in the draft. I don't think Zalmi's going to retain. They're going to retain him.
I think the major shuffling that he's talking about is going to be maybe just a whole new look for the team. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, if you're playing modern day cricket, Mohammad Haris is an integral part of that.
Okay, so maybe, let me think about this.
Like Saim and Haris have to be retained. And Babar
but Saim doesn't want to be there.
And Babar it's not up to Saim. That's not how the draft works. A player's ability or their interest in staying with the team or leaving a team, I don't think it matters that much.
I think as an owner, you have to take into account how much the player actually wants to be there. You don't want a James Harden situation. I'm not saying that Simon Yu is going to go out of the PSL 11 and start playing horribly just to prove a point. But at the same time, if he really doesn't want to be there, if he wants to play with David Warner in Karachi,
to play devil's advocate, Javed Afridi would say that I invested into Simon Yu when nobody was picking him.
Sell him for a good price.
Well, he's invested into him for 2 years. 3 years now, actually.
Sell him for a good price? I don't know. I mean, that's a whole conversation for another podcast, but I would definitely want to have that conversation. What it looks like right now is that the top 4 have been decided. Tomorrow's game is kind of a dead rubber. Even if IU wins, I don't think they get over.
Well, what if they win by a big margin and then they have a better run rate than Karachi? That means that they can play the qualifiers instead of the eliminator.
How big of a margin, Bashar? Like right now, KK is 0.5 plus. And IU is negative 0.04 minus. So how many runs is that? How many, like, do they have to score 250 or 230 and bowl them out for 120?
I'm not sure what the math is there.
Because to jump 0.5 is actually quite a big jump in NRR standard. So I don't know exactly what the math on that is, but if that is the case, then they would definitely like to have that number 2 spot. And then just play the qualifier against QG and go to the final, if that's the possibility. Top 4 is locked: QG, KK, LQ, IU. I don't think you and I both got any of our top 4s right.
Yeah. No, we had 3 or 4.
No, like I didn't get 100% right. You didn't get 100% right.
70%.
Right? Sure.
It's a B. I'll take it.
Okay. At this point, let's go with what we have right now. If the current standing, QG is 1, KK is 2, Lahore is 3rd, and IU is 4th. At this point, QG and KK play the qualifiers. Who do you think wins? Let's war game a little bit.
QG and KK play the qual. I think the form that QG is in, Quetta will go ahead to the finals.
Did they beat KK?
They beat KK.
Okay, so KK then plays against whoever wins between IU and LQ.
Because the match is happening in Lahore, I'm going to give the edge to Lahore. Lahore beating Islamabad.
Lahore versus Karachi in semifinals.
That would be a great semifinal for just broadcast purposes. Karachi to win.
Karachi versus Quetta final?
That's tough.
I think we'll reserve that for
Yeah.
now. I disagree with you. I think even though Lahore and Islamabad are playing the qualifiers, quote unquote, in Lahore, I think the downward spiral cannot keep happening like this for Islamabad. I think they have to come back. I tweeted from Backward Points account back to back, screenshot this or whatever. I stick by my words.
People have screenshotted it,
Let's
and
go.
they're waiting on
bro.
Islamabad.
The
to knock
downfall
out.
of Backward Point is being waited upon, just like Islamabad United. And you know what I say to the haters? Bring it on. Closing thoughts, Bashar. We ran for over an hour, I believe. Almost an hour.
Love
7
being
minutes.
back. I missed the podcast. I missed watching cricket. It's a sport we love watching, playing, and talking about. And we're so grateful for every single person who tunes in to watch and listen in. I feel like we're part of a larger community. And I look at the Discord channel and there's people chatting about cricket. And it's just a good, wholesome place to be part of.
100%. Commiserations to Toronto Maple Leafs fans. 6-1 loss, 3-4 against.
See, this is why we
Florida.
support Toronto Nationals.
Yeah.
Pitch G20
The
because they
Nationals-
actually win.
I was going to say the Leafs season is over, but the Jays season has just started. If you guys want to come down to the Toronto Blue Jays game on the 31st of May at Cricket Day at the Park, you will see us. You will have a great, unique experience. Check out the tickets in the description below if you're from the GTA or Ontario or Canada or North America, whatever the case may be. Secondly, who else did we have? We have Sendwave, Score PK. Remember that. $10 off of your first transfer. Competitive rates throughout from $1 all the way to $1,000 plus. Use that. Yashi Sports, as always, BP10. Cricket season has started. It's upon us. It's not starting, it's here. And I'm going to ask Bashar to put me as many games as possible. But I think that the right to selection remains with the captain, so I can't argue with that. And then anybody else we're missing out on? That's everybody, right?
That's
a lot of sponsors. We're really, really grateful that everybody's trying to pitch in. The Patreon members, as always, the Patreon chat's been lit up, especially when Bobber is playing. We have some really big Bobber fans in the chat, which is always fun and kind of sad for them as well. And just follow all the links in the description, and we'll see you guys probably tomorrow after tomorrow's game. PSL Jelly is back, and just for a few more games, maybe 4 more games, and then we'll be gone forever.
Cheers, guys.
All right, cheers. Thank you.